Hello everybody and welcome back to the Marks Guide. We are going to take care of Marks 41 through 45 for this video. We'll finally get into the, or I should say kind of one of the, you almost want to call them bosses. You can kind of see there on the little diagram there. Whenever you take a mission, it's one of the, I think there's C, like C, oh boy. No, we'll have to come back to that once that diagram pops back up. Anyways, there's something like, I'll take a stab and say like 8 bosses. Alright, anyway, Mark 41 here though is the triple Tonberries. Now, I used a Decepticol here. If I remember right though, these guys aren't too difficult to get a preemptive on. So, keep that in mind, and I would say that that is going to help you out a ton. Number one, these guys, if you see here, they have a 666% stagger point or stagger threshold. So that's going to take a bit. And then on top of that, they have a ton of health. So it really can help you to get one of them just out of the way immediately. Now I didn't really try to get another one of them staggered and kind of like save. Oh, I did. Never mind. There you have it. So I do have 2 of them, or I did end up getting 2 of them staggered. Now, that's the other thing. That's going to be key. I mean, so look at that. We already took down 2 of the 3 in the first, what, 10 seconds? Something like that. And that's going to be really important because maybe one of the bigger things with these guys is every time they knife you, they take off one of your buffs. So, unless... I mean, to try to keep up with 3 guys knifing you constantly, to try to keep buffs up on your characters, it's going to be really difficult. So, this battle is insanely easy if you can take down 2 of them immediately. So, again, I guess keep that in mind. Now, it's obviously going to get a bit easier of a battle once your characters get more developed, but again, that's kind of how I recommend going about it. Make sure you get that preemptive. Just keep trying, and eventually you should be able to. They seem to be, if I remember right, fairly easy to get it, that preemptive anyway, without Decepticol. So again, keep that in mind. Second thing I want to add with these guys is, I wouldn't say I really farmed them much. I definitely did come through here and activate this particular mission at least twice. Reason being, one of the earlier missions, there's a Tonberry that you fight, and the data log, as well as many guides, say that you can obtain the Tonberry figurine, but that's not how you get them. The only way is actually to complete this mission a second time. So the first time here, as you can see, you get the Doctor's Code, and then any subsequent times that you defeat those guys, you'll get a Tonberry figurine. And again, I've seen a ton of guides out there, and I've farmed Tonberries like crazy, and I've never actually got a figurine to drop, but I've received them as the secondary mark reward. So again, keep that in mind. Anyways, we're gonna move on to mark number 42. I think this one was this Anti-Hero? I think that's the name of this mark anyway. And again, back with the Tonberry thing, it seemed to me that maybe something got messed up with the programming, because again, they are listed as being able to drop that figurine, but I've never actually got it to drop. So, I know the luck, or there's a luck component as well, but with the sheer just amount of times that I've farmed them, I'm gonna say that there's an error somewhere, and that just never got programmed in. So anyways, on to the Borg Bear here, or the Borg Bear clan, I don't know. Anyways, as with all of these, these Borg Bears are actually going to fall under the Goblin category. As with all the rest of them, take down the little ones first, and then worry about the big guy last. But yeah, that's pretty much it for this fight. I mean, to be honest, all of these fights with the goblin type enemies are fairly easy. And yeah, I'm excited actually to get to finally get into the bosses. There's some interesting aspects to the bosses at the end of, you know, these paths. To try to bust open my bestiary here to get you guys some good information on them. But anyways, looks like this fight's going rather well. You know, if you're having any issues, I'd say buff up maybe a little bit more at the beginning of the fight. I went with. And speaking of which, at some point here, it looks like I snuck Hope back into my lineup, which is, you know, I kind of like. He's, you know, and again, I've mentioned it about a billion times in the playthrough. I like his synergist as well as his medic role. So he can take care of two really huge roles for you. So that's kind of why I like him. Anyways, all right, let's move on. This should be 43. The hero never dies. The mark is yet another Borg Bear hero. All right. Okay, so here they are. Or here's the mark, I should say. What do we have here? Ah, yes, this is the interesting fight. It's got a goblin, a munchkin, a Borg Bear, and then all of their like upgrades as well. So this is kind of a crazy fight. But as with all of these guys, take the little ones down first, and then work on these maestros and whatnot. I didn't actually. I didn't catch it here. I may have used a Decepticol at the beginning. I have a hard time believing I got a preemptive off of this legit, but we'll see. Actually, we won't see because I'm not gonna look back. I don't know how necessarily that really is. I mean, I really don't think it is. I don't think you need a preemptive to do well on this. I think at a certain point here, I just got I realized that I had so many shrouds left. And there you have it. There's the rise to power. I mentioned that in a bunch of my other videos. There we finally actually get to see one. So if you take down like the hero or for the Borg Bear it's the hero, for the Munchkin it's the Maestro, and the Goblin it's the Chieftain. But if you take down the big guy first and there's a little one still alive, you know, there's a chance that they'll be able to use this rise to power ability, which basically turns them into their, you know, upgraded form. Anyways, alright, so like I was saying, you know, at a certain point I realized I just had so many shrouds that I wasn't going to be able to use them by the time, or I wasn't going to run out. So, you know, again, at a certain point here during the game, I kind of just started using them whenever. And, you know, what better time to do that? Anyways, alright, so the rewards of Speed Sash, not too bad. Those are at least semi-useful. I think those ones are they have the Gestalt activate or synthesized ability, which is, you know, I like to use for the random instant chain on a couple of different characters. For the most part, Lightning had it for quite a large portion of the game. Now, you know, it doesn't activate as often as I'd like it to, but that's kind of just, that's the way it is. Anyways, alright, so we've got mark number 44 here. The old ones go to rust. Now, I've got a couple of splices at the end of this one because this took me a couple of tries to get down right. And I think I used a Decepticol here. Now, I'm trying to think of what flan to best take advantage of getting staggered right away. And it looked like I started on one and then kind of like went to this corrosive custard instead. So I'm not really sure why I did that. Maybe he was more of a threat or something. And here, this is kind of funny watching Snow try to launch this guy over and over. He just uppercuts him. To be honest, I don't know. It looks like this hybrid Flora actually has the highest stagger threshold, but he's dropping like a ton of bricks. Yeah, so maybe it's best to have your, you know, if you do get that preemptive on these guys, to use it on that corrosive custard first. It looked like the other two guys here seem to be going down fairly quickly. Well, this, yeah. All right. I guess that's the strategy I'll go with, or I'll suggest. And there's your 5-star. Again, it took me probably 3 tries to get a 5-star on that, and you know, unfortunately, I did have to use the Decepticol for it. So, anyways, this is the first time reward there. That's the, what was that? The General's Belt. I think that reduces physical damage or something like that. So there's certain times where that's all right. The Neo Chew here is the first of, I would call them the boss fights for this area, or for the Fault Warrens. And it is, gosh, I'd argue that it's one of the more difficult ones, if not the most difficult. There's a couple of different ways that you can go about beating this guy. Now, I went with the Vanille Death method. The random instant chain method is viable as well, although that is not what I ended up using. But the other thing I want to talk about here is with all of these kind of boss missions, it's basically, let's see here. So mission 45 through 50 all have a chance of dropping a weapon. And that's based off of your Shroud drop percentage. So, I believe on top of that, it's calculated the way a Shroud is calculated as well. So, you should be able to equip like a Survivalist catalog and actually try to get, you know, no star ratings on these guys, which is actually fairly easy to do because they're so difficult. So keep that in mind. The Neo Chew drops Vanille's weapon. Basically, all of the weapons that these guys can drop are dropped from, or sorry, can be purchased from one of the online shops. I think it's called the Gilgamesh Inc. or something like that. But anyways, so like I said, I went with the death method, and this is the team I used. Reason being, Hope and Saz together have some insane buffs. And then on top of that, Hope, you know, with the healing or with his medic role is pretty insane as well. And then you know, I really like to get Vigilance on Vanille. And now, you know, Saz isn't the only one that can cast that, but he does a good job as far as buffing goes. And I feel like, you know, for the Neo Chew and for basically like a death strategy, it really kind of boils down to keeping yourself buffed up. You want to take, you know, less damage, and you want to be able to keep yourself healed up. So I get Imperil on the Neo Chew there. Obviously, that's just going to increase our rates of death actually landing, because the more status ailments that you land, the better off your chances are. Unfortunately, though, I believe Imperil is the only thing that you can land on the Neo Chew. He's just immune to basically everything else, so keep that in mind. It's not going to take too many. There's the death. So there you have it. The battle is actually insanely tough. That's why they give you a 15-minute target time for that guy. And unfortunately, I didn't get the weapon, but that's okay. But our first time reward here is the Hunter's Friend. I think that's actually kind of garbage, but you know what? That's all right. I'll take it. But anyways, I hope this guide was helpful, and I hope you guys join me for more marks. All right, thanks for watching.